and then finally you make that circle and come back to Dubuque, Iowa. So I guess my question is was that a hard transition to go through from, civilian life,
yeah.
war, and then coming back? Just how easy was that?
It was hard, I remember when I first got back home, I was going down Romberg to Elm Street, they call it 5 Points, and I heard a car backfire. Well, I ducked down on my seat because I thought it was, enemy fire. It took me a long time to get over that feeling. I'd hear something, I'd be jittery, and I'd be jittery around people and that. It took me a long time.
When you came home, had you planned on going to school or just going back to work?
I went back to work. I couldn't go back to work at Edwards where I was working, or the railroad right away, so I went up to Flexstone, got hired there for a short time. I worked there in the pattern shop for a little while. The pay wasn't that great, so I went back to construction at Edwards. And then I worked there until September of '69, and I got hired on at John Deere. I worked out at John Deere for 37 years, till December 22nd of 2006 I retired.
My gosh, long time. I know that you didn't go back for your physical, but you do have a problem because of the rheumatic fever. Could you explain what that is?
Yes, I do. I didn't go back for my physical, but one of the friends I worked with out there kept after me, Donnie, get out there, you got something coming, and I hee-hawed around, and finally he was pushing me so much. Him and I got drafted together, in fact, through Lancaster. So so finally he pushed me enough. I went out. I went down to see Charlie Bremmeyer here in Dubuque County, and he said, "Yeah, Donnie," he said, "we'll get this going for you." So I submitted an application, and I got checked out. It took me about a year to everything go through, but during that time I had to go to Iowa City and get medical evaluation. Well, then I got post-traumatic stress disorder from being in combat. I got 30% for that. Then I had a heart murmur develop from the rheumatic fever when I was over in Vietnam. Nobody ever told me that. And they found it down there, and I got 10% for that, so I'm 40% disabled.
Nobody told you had the heart murmur, and
No.
luckily you've had no problems. That's
right. I guess the only time you can hear is when I'm laying down, So I'm pretty lucky, no problems.
Isn't that odd that would happen that way, though? I mean, you had rheumatic fever as a child, and then you have it's triggered by the country, the humidity, whatever.
The wetness, sore throats,
and just plain old stress. Yeah, all of that combined to give you another case of it. When you first had it, did you have any clues at all? I mean, did you really think that it was arthritis? Because you said you couldn't walk, you couldn't.
I thought I did. I thought it was, but it just dawned. No, something clicked. No, I remember that when I was 5, how my joints got all stiff, and so it turned out I was lucky. They found out that's what it was. Not lucky, but
How did they treat that, though?
With penicillin and aspirin.
Okay.
Right. I did become allergic once to penicillin when I was in Korea. I was getting shots all the time, so they put me on another medication. But then now I don't take any medication anymore.
That's why it took so long. It took so long for you to recover from that. It wasn't just a matter of a week or two. It sounds like it was like 2 months before you were totally.
Well, just longer than that, because when I was in Korea, I still had to take medication over there. So the Dr. Keltner over in Korea is the one that found the heart murmur. It was in my medical records, but nobody ever told me about it. Then they seen it in my medical records down in Iowa City.
You are the patient, so why didn't they tell you?
I don't know. I don't know.
In retirement, what have you been doing? What do you like to do?
Well, my wife and I have a camper. We bought a new one last year, and we've been going several places. Last winter, we went down to Florida for a couple months. And during the summer around here, we go camping, and I have 4 children, 6 grandchildren, so the grandchildren always want to go camping with us wherever we go. They enjoy it, and we enjoy having around.
That's good.
It's nice.
We're towards the end of the program, but I do have one last question to ask you, and that is, how do you think the Vietnam War affected you?
Well, outside the war, the country over there was very beautiful. It was pretty. But the war, itself made me realize, aware of what's going on around me, and be happy what I have, what we can do here in the United States. If we put our mind to anything, we're free to do it, you know. Over there, they don't have that, you know. They're governed by the communists and that, and they don't have the freedom we have. We can go wherever we want. They can't, you know. It just made me grow up and appreciate everything that the United States, America has to offer all of us.
Our opportunities that we have and they don't have. You know, I'm a first-generation American, so to me, the immigrant's dream is, you know, what my family experienced.
Right.
And you're right, we do have the freedom. When my mother came to this country, she thought it was the greatest country in the world, and lived her whole life with that knowledge that we could do whatever we, you know, whatever we envisioned we could do. As a matter of fact, everybody in my family has a college degree. There are 7 children there, all except for one brother who didn't want to go that route. But I mean, he could have, but he just chose not to go that route, you know. But that's the immigrant's dream, and you saw it, and you could contrast that with what we have in this country and what was happening in Vietnam.
Right, we're very fortunate people. We are.
Well,
God bless America.
God bless America.
Right.
I agree. Well, I'd just like to thank you so much for coming today and telling your story.
And thank you, Pauline. I'm very happy that you hope everyone enjoys it.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Okay.
I'm Pauline Maloney, and this has been The Warriors, Vietnam. Please join me next time when I will be interviewing another one of our Vietnam War veterans. So I'll see you then.